Okay, so tonight I would like to speak about something I've been thinking about. I read the other day on internet, I found an article about Marcoli's career and Tok story. And they were saying in the article, I can't remember what it was, but it's not the first time that I see that. I'm not saying that the person who wrote that was the only one to say it, so that's why it made me think a little more. The journalist was saying that Tok and Marcolis committed a commercial suicide when they released Spirit of Eden. You know, usually I read that and I don't pay attention to that. And this time, I don't know why, I thought, why a commercial suicide? Just because it didn't work, but before they did their album they couldn't know that it was not going to work. I'm sorry if you hear some cat's noise, but my two cats are playing and almost fighting, and sometimes it becomes a little noisy, I would say, so don't be surprised. Okay, I continue. So I was saying that when they made the Spirit of Eden album, they didn't know if it was going to work, to be commercial or not, if people were going to like it or not. The only thing that Marcolis knew, it was that he was not going to tour again, and he didn't really want to make video clips for the album. But it can be a kind of concept, you know. Of course, it's more difficult to promote an album if you don't make tours or clip videos. But I think that you can always find a way to promote something if you want to. So the record company was not happy, so it was EMI then. They were not happy with the Spirit of Eden album because it was quite different from The Color of Spring. But I read somewhere else that they were not happy with The Color of Spring when it has been brought to them. I think maybe it's in the Phil Brown book. When they received The Color of Spring, they were not happy with it, and then it has sold like crazy. So it's very difficult to say if something is going to work or not. But if you decide from the very beginning that it's not going to work and you don't promote it at all, for sure it's not going to work, because if nobody is aware that the album is released, or if nobody is listening to it, nobody can say if he or she loves it or not. So this thing of the record company deciding what is commercial or not, I think it's absurd, because they have no idea. They have no idea. You know, I think that selling anything, music, art, objects, whatever you are selling, you never know in advance if it's going to sell or not. Of course, if an object has a name, a reputation, I mean, if a famous brand is releasing an object, for example, selling something, if the brand is famous, if the artist is famous, if the, I don't know, if there is a reputation first, it's going to help, but it's not a guarantee, you know. Someone very famous can release a lot of things, it works, and one day you don't know why it doesn't work. Same thing with a painter, same thing with an object. A brand can be very famous. I'm not going to give names of brands which are famous, but even famous brands have their myths. You know, nothing is a guarantee. You never know. And something can be successful at a time and not successful like 20 years later. You don't know. When I started selling in Los Angeles, I'm mostly selling on internet. When I started selling, I was selling like crazy specific items. And now when I post them to sell them, it doesn't work. And it's something else which works. So you never know in advance what is going to work. So if the record companies know or pretend to know what is commercial and what is not, they are maybe right 70% of times, but I think that they may be very wrong at least 30% of time. I give you numbers like that, I may be wrong, you know, it's my idea, but maybe it's worse. I mean, maybe they are wrong 50% of time. Okay, cat fight. Okay, I'm coming back. It seems to be a little more calm now. What was I saying? Yes, the record companies pretend knowing what is commercial and what is not. Actually, I think that they think they know, but they don't know. I will give you an example. When I was much younger in France, it was in the 80s actually, there was this guy named Axel Bauer who became a very famous French singer now. He was not known at the beginning of the 80s, and he went to different record companies to present his music, and especially a song named Cargo de Nuit. Most of the record companies refused him. They said that it was not commercial. And finally he managed to find to get a contract with a record company. I don't remember which company. I'm not going to give names of companies because I could be in trouble, so I don't want that. Well, he was accepted in a record company. The record was released and it was a big hit. And in another record company where he was refused, the person who refused him was fired. So you see, the problem, I think, is that the people who are choosing the music are not maybe qualified to decide what is great and what is not. And what's the point of a record company to always release the same thing? I mean, trying to find something which looks like something which had success, so we do it again. That is stupid. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. A music at a time, in certain circumstances, in a specific country, can work. And the same music at another time, maybe in another country, maybe in other circumstances, maybe is not going to work. So there is no rules. We never know in advance. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. That's why it's risky to put so much money on a music without knowing if it's going to work or not. It's very risky. When I make sales on internet, I post and post and post, and I have no idea what is going to sell. I like all what I'm posting. Well, some objects maybe are not exactly my taste, but I know that some people may like them, and I think that it's nice, you know. So I try everything. Usually what sells is the things that I was sure almost that it was not going to sell. I post it, but I think, oh, if it doesn't sell, I remove it in 2 months, you know. And there are things that I post, that I list on my internet shop, and I'm sure it's going to sell like that right away, and it doesn't. Because my taste is not automatically the same as the people who are looking at my shop on internet. So I never know. That is a rule, we never know. I think that Hollis said, I read in an interview that Hollis said that if Spirit of Eden had been released in the 70s, it would have had some success. Because after all, in the 70s, Pink Floyd, for example, they were releasing music like that, experimental and a little different from what we usually listen to, and it worked. So it worked in the 70s, maybe end of 60s. It didn't work. It was supposed not to be a commercial album in the 80s, at the end of the 80s. Why? We don't know. I think why? Because it has not been promoted. It has barely been pushed, you know. So maybe the radios didn't want to play it. Why? Why the radios didn't want to play it? So the radios are qualified to decide what is going to work and what is not going to work. But if they don't even try, so because there are deals, they do deals, so this is not a deal, so no, we are not going to do it. Or this is a piece which is too long, so oh no, you know, you are allowed to listen to a song which measures 4 minutes, but if it measures 6 minutes, oh, it's over. What is that? What is that? The other day I was watching a video made by Ikonn and his wife, Mimi Ikonn. I don't know if you know these videos, I like them. They are speaking about business and how to run and to improve your life and your business, and I like to watch videos like that. And they were saying that even in business we can do art. It means that, according to them, if you try a product, if you try to release something, to sell something, but you have no idea if it's going to work or not, so you take a risk, you take a gamble, then it is a form of art, because you are creating something. It can be a complete miss, you know, but you can succeed. So according to them, if you take the risk and you have no idea if it is going to work, it is a form of art, even in business. If you know in advance that it's going to sell and that it's going to be a success, then it's not art anymore, it's just business. I was thinking that maybe their idea was not completely stupid, because somehow when you take a risk, you are kind of, how we say that in English, precursor, we say in French. I will write the name precursor, I don't know. Precursor in French, it means the one who is trying something new. There is nothing new under the sun, as we say, but sometimes people release or create something which is quite different from what we saw before, even if it's of course inspired by something or things which exist. Some people may have an original and creative approach that was not seen before. That's possible. So when the record companies try to release commercial music albums which are basically a copy of what they did before, where is art in it? Where is the creation? Where is the precursor job? There is nothing new here. They are just followers. They are just doing business. They are just trying to sell something like we would sell green peas. And even with green peas, you know, some green peas can work and some other green peas won't work. We don't know, you know. So they want to do business as we would sell anything else. But I think that music, it's quite different. And art also, it's quite different. You don't know. You never know. That's why I think that when something is working, it's completely magic, because it's a unique situation and we never know if it's going to happen twice. You know, when Hollis and Tok Tok released Spirit of Eden, a wonderful album. There are so many hits in this album. I Believe in You is one. Well, the record company at least acknowledge that this song was a potential hit. But Desire is wonderful. And all the other songs, even if they are not hits, the kind of things that you listen to in a nightclub and you dance on it, it is still wonderful. I can guarantee you that if the radio had played Spirit of Eden, or any other album, Laughing Stock, Mark Hollis solo album, every day, every day, every day, on the radio, at a point it would have worked, you know, because people would have got used to it. Very often we listen to songs, we don't like them, at a point we heard them so many times that we start being used to them, even though we didn't like them at the very beginning. If you give crap to people, they will only like crap. But if you give quality music to people, which is not always easy to understand, but if they get used to it, at a point they will start to like it and maybe to love it too. So some people will love it right away. For other people it's maybe more difficult to understand. Then if you listen to Laughing Stock, I can guarantee you that in Laughing Stock there are many, many hits. It's just the way it has been treated, which is quite different. But the melody, the spirit in it, there are very, very good songs in it. Who am I to say that? Of course, I can guarantee you that it will make a hit. I can guarantee you that one of my objects will be sold. So how can I guarantee that these songs are hits? I can guarantee anything. But I can tell you that very often when I listen to a song for the first time, I could tell if it was going to work or not. Very often it happened to me to guess, you know. And the first time I listened to Spirit of Eden, I didn't understand why nothing worked in it. I didn't. When I listened to Laughing Stock, I was even more stunned because it's a high potential of commerciality, I would say, in this album. And even if you listen to the Mark Hollis solo album, the song The Color of Spring, which is the first one, it's a hit. I'm sorry, it's a hit. It's not because it's very low and because it's treated by a kind of jazzy Mark Hollis way, I would say, that it's not a hit. It was a hit. It was a hit. I would say that the record companies are probably good for one thing, is distributing the albums everywhere. So they are distributors. Of course, it's not only the distributors, it's also the companies who produce the albums. So it can be small, bigger companies. Some of them are good, some of them are less good. Of course, all of them are allowed not to give their money for a product they don't believe in. I'm not saying that all the people who are coming with the music are automatically good. No. The problem is that if you don't take the risk, you will never know. So, I don't know. I don't have a record company. I don't know if there is a solution for that. I'm just saying that it's a pity that I had to wait many, many years. I don't even count how many years to discover 3 albums like Spirit of Eden, Laughing Stock and the Mark Hollis solo album, when I could have known them right away when they were released. I don't understand how a record company can put so much money on an album and then not even try to sell it, at least to get a little money back. The other day I was at a barbecue restaurant with my son, and they were playing some very rock music, rock American music. They were playing Creedence Clearwater Revival, and I heard a song that I was listening to when I was maybe, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that. And I was singing on it, and then they played the Rolling Stones, and I was singing on it, and my son at a point said, "Oh, stop, stop singing, you make me ashamed." And I was like, what? How can't you like the Creedence Clearwater Revival, the Rolling Stones? And there was also the Wings, you know, Paul McCartney, Band on the Run. I'm not especially a big fan of Paul McCartney after the Beatles, but still. And I was singing on that, and my son was, I told him, you can't not like the Rolling Stones, you can't not like the Creedence Clearwater Revival, you can't not like this album by Paul McCartney. Still, Paul McCartney is still a very good composer. And my son was like, no, I don't like that so much. And I thought, you know what? These people had a lot of success, maybe because their music was good, but also it was the period which was good for them. Maybe if I was the same age as my son, maybe if I was from the Y generation, my son's generation, maybe I wouldn't like all these things. So, you know, something which is commercial and a hit at a period can be quite less appreciated, I would say, much later. So all that is so subjective, and I don't understand that we didn't try to find a solution about that, because I'm absolutely certain that a lot of things, art, music, have been missed because of the decision of people who maybe were not qualified to decide. And even someone qualified, you know, someone qualified can decide that this album is going to work, and it works, and we think, wow, this person is very good, to notice the talents, but maybe another day he's going to miss something, you know. It's very difficult to be always right about that. It is so subjective, it's so particular. Music and art is so particular. I'm not going to redo the world. I'm not going to change the music industry all by myself, you know. Why a commercial music has to be zim boom boom automatically, you know what I mean? And nightclub, and some music can be quite different and still beautiful and still appreciated, and still people want to buy the record or the album, the CD. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I will see you very soon. I hope that you liked my video. If you did, please give a thumb up. It's the only way for me to know that you liked it. But if you want to comment, same thing. If you want to subscribe, even better. Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.